The restaurant glowed with warm amber light as servers floated between tables lined with roses and crystal glasses. At a corner booth sat Adrian Cole, 38, a polished CEO, waiting for a blind date arranged by his sister. But when the door opened, a woman in worn shoes and a faded dress stepped inside. Maya Turner, clutching a thrift store purse and scanning the room nervously. Whispers rose. Adrian stood up anyway. "Stay. This touching story will change how you see love." Adrian Cole had everything the world told him should make a man happy. A corner office on the 42nd floor, a penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows, respect from competitors and envy from strangers. At 38, he'd built an empire from nothing, transforming his late father's struggling tech company into an industry leader. But lately, the silence in his apartment felt louder than any boardroom. His younger sister, Emma, had been pestering him for months about dating. "You work 80 hours a week and come home to an empty house," she'd said over Sunday brunch. "Let me set you up. Just once. What's the worst that could happen?" So he agreed, if only to make her stop asking. The restaurant she chose was one of his favorites. La Lumiere, all soft lighting and white tablecloth, where reservations took months and the wine list had pages. Adrian arrived early, wearing a tailored navy suit, and settled into the corner booth Emma had reserved. 20 minutes away, Maya Turner stood in front of her bathroom mirror, second-guessing everything. At 27, she was exhausted in a way that sleep couldn't fix. She worked 3 jobs, morning shift at a diner, afternoon cleaning houses, evenings doing alterations at a tailor shop, all while caring for her mother, who'd been paralyzed in a stroke 2 years earlier. Dating wasn't even on her radar, but her mother's nurse, who happened to be Emma Cole's neighbor, had set this up without Maya's full consent. "You deserve one nice evening," her mother had insisted, squeezing Maya's hand. "Please, sweetheart, go." So here she was, wearing the only dress she owned that wasn't a uniform. A simple navy sundress she'd found at Goodwill, cleaned and mended carefully. Her shoes were scuffed. Her purse was falling apart at the seams. But she'd tried. When the rideshare dropped her at La Lumiere, Maya's stomach dropped. Through the windows she saw silk and diamonds, tailored suits and confident laughter. She almost turned around, but she'd promised her mother. Taking a shaky breath, Maya pushed open the door. The hostess, elegant, blonde, impeccable, looked her up and down with barely concealed judgment. "Do you have a reservation?" "I'm meeting someone. Adrian Cole?" The hostess's eyebrows rose. "Mr. Cole, are you certain?" Maya's cheeks burned. "Yes." Reluctantly, the hostess led her through the restaurant. Every table seemed to pause, whispers rising like steam. Maya kept her eyes down, clutching her purse tighter. Then she saw him. Adrian Cole stood as she approached. Tall, composed, handsome in that effortless way powerful men often were. His eyes met hers without judgment, without surprise. He pulled out her chair himself. "Maya?" he asked warmly. "Yes. I'm so sorry. I know I'm not." She gestured helplessly at the restaurant, at herself. "You came," he interrupted gently, sitting down across from her. "That's enough." Maya blinked back tears, stunned by his kindness. "I almost didn't," she admitted quietly. "I'm glad you did." The server appeared, looking between them with barely masked confusion before taking their drink orders. When they were alone again, Adrian leaned forward slightly. "So, Emma tells me you're basically a superhero who runs on caffeine and stubbornness." Maya laughed, surprised, genuine. "That's actually accurate. Tell me more." And despite everything, the whispers, the elegant surroundings, the enormous gap between their worlds, conversation began to flow. As dinner unfolded, Maya found herself relaxing in ways she hadn't in years. Adrian asked real questions and listened to actual answers, not with the polite attention of someone waiting their turn to speak, but with genuine curiosity. She told him about her 3 jobs, about waking at 4:30 a.m. to prep at the diner, about rushing home between shifts to help her mother with physical therapy exercises, about staying up past midnight hemming pants and fixing torn seams for the tailor shop. "I know it sounds exhausting," she said, pushing food around her plate. "The meal cost more than she made in 2 days. But Mom sacrificed everything for me growing up. This is just what you do for family." "It's more than that," Adrian said quietly. "It's extraordinary." Maya looked up, startled. Most people talk about what they do for family, he continued. You're actually doing it. That's rare. I don't feel extraordinary. I feel tired. She smiled sadly. And honestly, I almost didn't come tonight. People like me don't belong in places like this. Adrian set down his fork, his expression serious. People like you make places like this worth being in. Maya's breath caught. Do you know what I do every day? Adrian asked. I sit in meetings with people who have everything and appreciate nothing, who measure worth in quarterly reports and stock prices, who've never had to choose between paying rent or buying medicine. He paused. You remind me what actual strength looks like. You're being kind. I'm being honest. He leaned back, studying her. Emma mentioned you sew. Is that what you do at the tailor shop? Maya nodded. Alterations, mostly, but I used to design before. She trailed off, looking away. Before what? Before life got complicated, I had this dream, silly really, of opening a small studio. Nothing fancy, just a place where people could get custom pieces that made them feel beautiful, regardless of budget. Clothes that fit real bodies, not just runway models. Her eyes lit up as she talked, hands gesturing unconsciously. I wanted to hire single moms and people who needed flexible hours. Create something that actually helped people. Adrian watched her face transform, exhaustion replaced by passion, doubt by hope. That's not silly, he said softly. That's vision. Maya blinked, brought back to reality. It's just a daydream. I can barely afford fabric scraps. Dreams don't care about your budget, Adrian replied. They just care if you're brave enough to pursue them. The server arrived with the check. Maya's eyes went wide when she glimpsed the total. $300. I can pay for my half, she said quickly, reaching for her purse even though she knew she had maybe $40 inside. Adrian placed his hand gently over hers, stopping her. Tonight wasn't a transaction, Maya. It was a gift, and you've already given me far more than any meal could cost. What could I possibly have given you? Hope, he said simply, that there are still genuine people in the world, that success isn't just measured in profit margins, that someone can have nothing and still offer everything. Maya's tears fell silently. Outside, rain began to fall, soft at first, then steadier. Adrian walked Maya to the bus stop, holding his jacket over her head like an umbrella. Thank you, she whispered as the bus approached, for tonight, for seeing me. Thank you, he replied, for showing up, even when it was hard. The bus doors opened. Maya? Adrian called as she started to board. She turned back. Can I see you again? She smiled, small, tentative, but real. I'd like that. Anna. As the bus pulled away, Adrian stood in the rain, watching until the taillights disappeared, feeling something he hadn't felt in years, like his life might actually mean something beyond spreadsheets and shareholder meetings. Keep watching, because what happens next will test humility, pride, and true love. The next morning, Adrian woke to 17 missed calls. His publicist, his COO, his sister, even his lawyer. He checked his phone to find his photo plastered across gossip sites and social media. Tech CEO Adrian Cole spotted with mystery woman, not his usual type. The pictures showed him at the bus stop, holding his jacket over Maya's head, smiling at her in a way he hadn't smiled in years. But it wasn't the photos that made his blood boil. It was the comments. Well, who's the broke girl? Gold digger alert. Look at those shoes, LOL. She showed up to La Lumiere in discount store rejects. He's slumming it for charity or what? She's not even pretty enough to be a gold digger. Thousands of comments, each crueler than the last, dissecting Maya's appearance, her clothes, her worth. Adrian's hands shook with rage. Maya saw the articles when her coworker at the diner showed her during morning break. She went pale, reading the vicious comments, seeing herself through strangers' hateful eyes. By lunch, her phone was ringing, Adrian's number. She didn't answer. She couldn't. How could she explain that every word they wrote was true? She was from a different world. She didn't belong in his life. She'd known it the moment she walked into that restaurant. That evening, Adrian showed up at the tailor shop. Maya, please, talk to me. She kept her back to him, hands trembling as she pinned to him. You should go. I'm not going anywhere. Adrian! She turned, eyes red from crying. Look at what's happening. We had one date, and the internet is tearing me apart. What happens when they find out about my mom? My jobs? The fact that I can barely afford rent? I don't care what they say, but I do. Her voice broke. Because they're right. We're from different worlds. You deserve someone who won't embarrass you, someone who fits. You think you embarrass me? Adrian stepped closer, voice intense. Maya, you're the first real thing that's happened to me in 10 years. I'm ruining your reputation. My reputation is built on money and power. Yours is built on sacrifice and love. Which one do you think actually matters? But the pressure mounted. The next day, Adrian faced his board of directors. The investors are concerned, his COO began carefully, about the publicity, about your judgment. My judgment? Adrian's voice was dangerously quiet. Dating someone so publicly beneath your station raises questions about decision-making, another board member added. Adrian stood slowly, methodically. Let me be absolutely clear. Maya Turner is a woman who works 3 jobs to care for her disabled mother, who sacrifices sleep and dreams and her own well-being for someone she loves, who showed up to dinner knowing she didn't fit but came anyway because she's braver than anyone in this room. Adrian, value isn't measured in fabric or money, he continued, voice rising. It's measured in character, in integrity, in the courage to keep going when everything's against you. And by that measure, Maya Turner is worth more than all of us combined. Silence. If you have concerns about my judgment, Adrian finished coldly, I suggest you examine your own. Meeting adjourned. He walked out, heart pounding. But Maya had heard only fragments. Whispers from the tailor shop owner who'd read about concerns from Coal Industries board, about questions regarding Adrian's personal life affecting business. She was ruining everything for him. That night she sent a text. You deserve someone who won't hold you back. I'm sorry. Then she blocked his number and began packing, preparing to do what she'd always done when things got too complicated. Disappear, survive, protect the people she loved. Adrian read the text 3 times before he understood. Then he grabbed his keys and drove, speeding through traffic, running red lights, desperation clawing at his chest. He found Maya in her small apartment, throwing clothes into a duffel bag, tears streaming. What are you doing? He demanded, breathless from running up 4 flights of stairs. What I should have done from the start, leaving before I caused more damage. Adrian crossed the room in 3 strides, gently taking the bag from her hands, kneeling in front of her. You're not holding me back, he said, voice breaking. You're the first thing pulling me forward. The first person who's made me want to be better, not just richer. The first one who's made me feel like my life has purpose beyond profit margins. Adrian, I love you. The words spilled out, raw and honest. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But I love you, Maya Turner. And I'm not letting you disappear because the world can't see what I see. Maya collapsed into his arms, sobbing. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too, he admitted. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. 3 months later, Maya stood in front of a small storefront, keys trembling in her hand. The sign above the door read, Maya's Studio, custom designs for everybody. Adrian stood beside her, grinning. Ready? She turned to him, eyes glistening. You really helped me do this. I invested in the space, he corrected gently. You did everything else. The designs, the business plan, the vision, that's all you. Maya unlocked the door, stepping into the bright, clean space. Sewing machines lined one wall. Fabric bolts filled shelves in rainbow colors. A small sitting area with comfortable chairs welcomed customers. No judgment, just warmth. It's perfect, she whispered. You're perfect, Adrian replied. Word spread quickly, not because of Adrian's name, but because Maya's designs were extraordinary. Simple, elegant pieces that fit real bodies and made people feel beautiful, regardless of size or budget. She hired 3 seamstresses, all single mothers needing flexible hours, just as she'd dreamed. Her mother, now in a wheelchair but stronger than before, visited the shop weekly, beaming with pride. My daughter, the designer, she'd tell anyone who'd listen. Adrian watched Maya blossom. Confidence replacing doubt, passion replacing exhaustion. She still worked hard, But now she worked for herself, building something meaningful. The internet eventually moved on to new targets. The cruel comments faded. What remained were thousands of customers who loved Maya's work and her story, the seamstress who turned hardship into hope. 6 months after their first date, Adrian walked into the studio one evening after closing. Maya was teaching a sewing class to teenage girls from low-income neighborhoods, another program she'd started, offering free lessons and mentorship. "Measure twice, cut once," she instructed, demonstrating on a piece of fabric. "Mistakes are fine. They teach us. But precision saves time." The girls nodded, focused and engaged. Adrian waited until the class ended, watching Maya hug each student goodbye, encouraging them, believing in them the way someone had once believed in her. When they were alone, he pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. Maya froze. "I know we haven't been together long," Adrian began, kneeling in the middle of her studio, surrounded by fabric and thread and dreams made real. "But I've learned that time doesn't matter. What matters is finding someone who makes you want to be the best version of yourself. Someone who teaches you what love actually looks like. Not the fairy tale version, but the real one. The messy, complicated, beautiful one." Maya's hands covered her mouth, tears already falling. "You didn't arrive with nothing, Maya," he continued, voice thick with emotion. "You arrived with everything I never knew I needed. Compassion, strength, purpose, the courage to show up even when the world tells you you don't belong." He opened the box, revealing a simple, elegant ring. Not ostentatious, just beautiful. "Will you marry me?" Maya nodded, unable to speak, collapsing to her knees beside him. "Yes," she finally managed. "Yes, yes, yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger. Perfect fit, like everything about them. Behind them, the studio door burst open. The teenage girls from the class had been peeking through the window. They erupted in cheers, rushing in to hug Maya and congratulate them both. Maya laughed through her tears, surrounded by the community she'd built, the life she'd created, and the man who'd seen her worth when the world had measured her by all the wrong things. Their wedding was small, held not in a cathedral or luxury venue, but in Maya's studio, surrounded by fabric and love and people who actually mattered. Maya wore a dress she designed herself, simple, elegant, uniquely hers. Adrian's vows made everyone cry. "You taught me that wealth isn't what you have, it's who you are. And you, Maya Turner, are the richest person I've ever known." Maya's mother sobbed in the front row, clutching tissues, beaming with joy. As they danced their first dance, not to an orchestra, but to a playlist of songs they both loved, Maya whispered, "Thank you for seeing me." Adrian held her closer. "Thank you for letting me." Outside, snow began to fall softly, the first of the season. Inside, surrounded by love and laughter and fabric scraps scattered like confetti, two people from different worlds built something neither had expected, but both had desperately needed. Not just a marriage, a partnership, a home. If this touching story warmed your heart, subscribe to Our Heart Stories for more emotional tales of love, hope, and second chances.